You know, Solomon had been appointed king. King David was gone. He was dead and off the throne, and his son Solomon, at a young age, became the king of the most progressive, greatest world power there was in those days, the kingdom of Israel. And Solomon, young Solomon, became king of Israel. And in the midst of that, King Solomon was asked by God. God said, Solomon, ask whatever you will, and I'll give it to you. Think about that. What would you have said? God, I want great riches. I want power. I want strength. I want a great army. Ask whatever you want, and I'll give it to you, God said. And you know what Solomon replied? He said, what I need more than anything else is wisdom. He said, give me a discerning heart that I might rule this people of mine. Solomon could have asked for anything and everything, but he asked for wisdom, a discerning heart to be able to know how to make wise decisions in life. What Solomon was saying was three things here. First thing he was saying was this: he wanted God to work with him, not with someone else. Give me a discerning heart. He was saying, God, work with me, not with someone else. For most of us, when problems arise, it's usually in our minds always someone else's fault. But Solomon didn't say, God, I want you to work with these other people, get them right. He said, no, what I need is a discerning heart myself. I want you to work with me, not with others. You know, so many of us say, you know, if only my wife would get her act together, would get right or something. When usually what we really need to do is request of God what Solomon said. God, I want you to work with me, not with someone else. Get me right. I need a discerning heart. Lord, I want to be right with you. That's what he was saying. So he said, I want you to work with me, not with someone else. Secondly, he said, God, I want you to work in me and not just around me. Solomon knew that what he needed was internal, not external. He said, God, I want you to work in me. Give me a discerning heart. Work in me, not just around me. He asked for wisdom. And how many times later when he would write the book of Proverbs did he remind us that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom? He said, God, I want you to work with me, not with somebody else. I want you to work in me and not around me. And thirdly, I want you to work through me, not for me. When you think about many of our prayer lives, so much of our prayer lives are taken up with what? Asking God to do something for us. Asking God to meet this need. Asking God to touch this person, asking God to do something for us. Solomon said, look, I want a discerning heart. I want you to work not just with me. I want you to work not with others. I want you to work with me. I want you to work in me, not outside of me. And I want you to work through me, not for me. Unfortunately, there was a sad postscript to Solomon's life. Ever so slowly as he lived and prospered and was blessed, his focus began to change. Until the end of his life, he writes the book of Ecclesiastes. And what does he say? He talks about the folly of all those things he went after he thought were going to be so important: laughter, liquor, lust, luxury, on and on. And he finally came to this conclusion: vanity of vanities. All is vanity. And down at the end of that little book of Ecclesiastes, that book of wisdom, in chapter 12, at the end, the last paragraph, he says, now then, hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. So the question bodes, what do you want? If God comes to you today and says, ask whatever you will, I'll give it to you. What do you want? Would you join Solomon in saying, God, what I want is I want you to work with me, not with somebody else. I want you to work in me, not outside of me. And I want you to work through me, not just for me. And when you do, you'll find life transformed into the power and presence of the Holy Spirit in you, around you, through you, for God's glory. Ask whatever you will, and I'll do it, God says.